This is Thomas Malthus. He was born in 1766 into an English upper-middle-class family. The first professional economist in the 19th century, he was a professor of history and the political economy at the East India Company's College. He is most well known for his theories of population growth. How did he come up with these ideas? Well, he was greatly influenced by the existing British economic conditions. At the time, the Industrial Revolution was going on. A great number of workers left their farms to look for factory jobs in the cities. It wasn't that great. It was crowded and unsanitary. Not to mention that they only earned minimal wages. To add on to the terrible living conditions, the war against Napoleon Bonaparte's France was being battled out as well. Crop yields were poor and there was a population boom. Bottom line, Britain's farmland couldn't feed Britain's people. Now back to Thomas Malthus's theory of population growth. Malthus saw overpopulation as an evil, reducing the amount of food available per person. He knew that food is necessary to sustain human life, but since the human sexual instinct is constant, the balance is difficult to find. Malthus went as far as to say an unchecked population would double every 25 years, growing in a geometrical progression, whereas the food production only increases in an arithmetical progression. Because an increased food demand leads to more land required for food production, which leads to using less fertile land for necessity. But since the land is less fertile, they will yield fewer crops. Productivity of the added workers decreases as well. Anyway, without controlling the number of people in a population, the limited food supply would lead to a population crash because of famine or disease. Using these natural occurrences causing increased death rates to control the population is called a positive check. However, it is not ideal because it cannot be controlled or summoned when required. The most ideal way to control the population is with a preventive check. This is a human effort to reduce birth rate, so that would mean abortion, postponing or limiting eligibility of marriage, and birth control. Controlled number of people equals enough food to feed people. So what were the impacts of Thomas Malthus's theory? Well, on the pro side, the theory of population growth caused Francis Place to be the first to advocate contraception. Next, Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection was built with Malthus's theory in mind. Finally, the death rates decreased because there were less people to provide for. On the flip side, however, Thomas Malthus failed to comprehend humans' ability to increase food supply to meet the needs of an increasing population. I mean, we can use science and technology after all. What kind of economist is Thomas Malthus? He is pessimistic about the population growth. He believes society can never be perfect. He opposed premarital sex. He opposed the government's welfare, and he introduced birth control. Thomas Malthus was definitely a conservative economist. And there's your recap.